Hello, it's Stuart, the Unrepentant Atheist, and today I'm going to be looking at Jordan Peterson and asking the question, does he believe in God? Now, he made a video some time ago covering this very subject where he's joined together some of the clips where he's talking about God and morality and church, etc. So let's get going, and I've not put the whole thing in. I've kind of cut and pasted it because there's a lot of irrelevant material in there. Let's get going and see, does Jordan Peterson believe in God or not?
People often ask me, do you believe in God? Which I don't like that question. I don't like that question.
Well, he repeats 3 times. Well, I don't know. He says he doesn't like that question. I've come across people that don't like being asked, do you believe in God? And they've not liked the question, or they've tried to dodge it and avoid it. And I could never really get a proper answer out of them. And I'm in the dark about why they don't like the question and why they won't answer. For me, it's no big deal to answer, do I believe in God or not? Obviously, for other people, it is.
I don't like the question.
Now, he's called his video Journey to God. That kind of implies that he believes in God, but let's continue.
People have asked me whether or not I believe in God, and I've answered in various ways. No, but I'm afraid he probably exists.
So what's he done there? He's asked, does he believe in God? He said no, but he's afraid that he probably does exist. To me, what he's done there is he's cancelled out his disbelief by saying that God probably exists. So where does that leave him? It doesn't really leave you anywhere in terms of answering the question.
The traditions bind the community together. Now, I'm saying that, and I don't go to church. And the reason I don't go to church is because, well, it drives me crazy, to speak frankly. I haven't been able to sit in a situation like that ever since I was, well, ever, really.
Okay, so let's bear that in mind. Jordan Peterson cannot sit in church because it drives him crazy. So he doesn't go to church.
It's certainly the case that communal church-going in the 1950s, say, provided the average person with at least an hour a week where they were contemplating, no matter how poorly, the purpose of ethics in life and the idea of a higher purpose and a higher meaning in life. And you got to think that spending an hour a week thinking about that is better than never doing it at all.
So, although he never goes to church, he seems to be implying that it's got a place in the community in order for other people, not him, but other people to go and provide them with at least 1 hour of contemplation on moral matters. As he said, no matter how poorly they contemplate, it's better than nothing. So that strikes me as a little bit hypocritical, that he's saying going to church drives him crazy, but maybe he thinks other people should go because otherwise he presumes, I think that's a big presumption, that if you don't go to church you never think about moral matters. But he's presuming that other people should go to church in order to give that time to contemplate, however poorly.
The consequence of that is that we're fragmenting quite badly. But what you see there is if you view someone...
I mean, when he says we're fragmenting quite badly, I mean, I think that possibly what he's saying is that there are many, many different worldviews. I see that as a good thing in society. I don't see it as a bad thing. I think there should be plurality. There should be as many worldviews as possible. I would be quite scared to live in a society like we had in the Middle Ages, where the dominant worldview was Christianity. And obviously we saw what happened as a result of that with, intolerance to any other worldview. I see it as a good thing that we're fragmented in that sense.
With love, then it's incumbent upon you to treat them as if they're valuable. And then the more you treat other people as if they're valuable...
Well, now he's preaching. I find this a bit strange really, that this has gone into the video. I mean, he's preaching. I agree with what he's saying, but he's not really saying whether he believes in God or not. He's just preaching that seeing other people with love is a good thing. It makes you treat them in a moral way. Personally, whether I love people or not, I try to treat them well. I love very few people in my life, just my family and, some friends. But the average person out there on the street, no, I don't love them at all. I don't love my neighbor. Love is a very special thing, and for me it's reserved just for very special people. But those people that I see there out on the street, even though I don't love them, I try to still treat them with respect. So I don't really see where he's coming from on that one.
The better person you are, that just comes along for the ride in some sense. So none of that seems questionable to me. That seems solid. And so then maybe the more love you view other people with, the higher the moral demand that's placed on you. And then I would say too, well then, that's another reason why it's so important to be truthful and in some sense to be good, because...
Well, I mean, he's just preaching here. It's just, it's sickening to listen to him. I don't know if this is what Jordan Peterson normally does, but I mean, if I wanted to hear this, I would go to a church. I don't need to hear this. It's all fairly basic. There's nothing new. There's nothing special in it. It's just a common, decent way of living that everybody, I think, is more or less aware of.
It isn't obvious to me that you can withstand that moral load if you're compromised by too much sin.
Well, he's talking about a moral load, the moral load being to treat people well. So if you're compromised by sin, in other words, let's say, to simplify it, you've done bad things in your life, whatever that happens to be. You've been dishonest, you've hurt people. And he seems to be saying that if you've got these things that, let's face it, all of us have done, it means it's going to be more difficult to treat people well. Maybe the implication there is that you need to go to church and cleanse your soul so that you can then go out and treat people well. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that you need the church. I don't believe that you need religion to cleanse your soul. You've done bad things. You've got to come to terms with it, make amends, and obviously try to be a better person. You don't need religion to do that. But this video is about whether Jordan Peterson believes in God or not, and all he's really doing is preaching.
It's too much. And that's another thing that we're not very good at teaching young people about. We shouldn't do that. It's like...
Why is he saying we? I mean, I brought up a son, and I didn't think that I was particularly bad at, teaching him moral values and everything. And he's saying we, like, is he talking about society is not very good at teaching? And that because society is not good at teaching people the difference between right and wrong, they need religion, they need God. Is that what he's saying? Because I don't agree with him, but he's not really getting to the point on whether he believes in God or not.
There's a sanctimonious authority that goes along with that that's the wrong tone. It's more like...
Now, who are these two guys he's talking to? I'd have a fair guess that they're Christians. I mean, they've got that kind of sort of Christian-y look about them. Wait, he's going to say something really profound.
I don't know how you lay it out properly, but you tell people that you love how to avoid the road to hell. And you don't do that because you're shaking your finger at them or because you're a moral authority. You do it because you don't want them to burn.
One thing that Jordan Peterson is brilliant at is tailoring his discourse for the audience. Now, I believe this is probably some kind of Christian channel, and he's using the lexis of Christianity, hell, burning. They're absolutely lapping it up. Does he really mean hell and burning? No, he could be meaning it in another sense, in terms of the pain and the turmoil of the human experience. I don't know what to say about this. Let's keep going with it.
I think there's too much of the moral authority still in the church and not enough of the love that helps people avoid.
Well, we've seen so many examples of Christian love. People leave comments on my channel saying there's no there's no hate like Christian love.
The fire, all of that's very interesting to me. She's showing me,
Okay, so he's talking about his wife here. I've cut quite a lot of this out. So his wife apparently had a brush with death. She's doing a lot of religious stuff. She doesn't go to church, but she's hanging out with religious people. She's helping people mainly in the family, but also out of the family. And Jordan's basically impressed with what she's doing.
Taken the idea of God seriously for a very long time. And I've said on multiple occasions that I try to act as though God exists.
Well, that's the thing, really. He's acting as though God exists. A bit like Dumbo with his lucky feather. Dumbo is acting as if the feather actually has magic powers in order to give him the power of flight. It's like lucky rabbit foot. He's not actually saying he does believe.
That's essentially my definition of belief.
That's his definition of belief is in action. So you act as if you do believe. You do good things because you pretend to yourself that there's a God up there watching you. And that for him is belief.
When people say, do you believe in God? Belief is a multi-dimensional word. And one question is, well, what do you mean by believe? And for me, the proof of belief is to be found in action. And I decided that I would act as if God existed a long while back. And
this is where he unnecessarily complicates things. Belief is not really, I don't know what he means by belief is a multidimensional word. To me, believing something just means that you're convinced that something is true. I don't know how far you could expand upon that.
Of course, I'm imperfect in that, inevitably. Now, she's doing that more explicitly as well. And the disappointment and the betrayal, and to nonetheless act properly, right? To aim at the good with all your heart, right? To dispense with the malevolence and your desire for destruction and revenge and all of that, and to face things courageously and to tell the truth.
Okay, Jordan, you should have been a preacher. You should have gone to seminary, and you should have been a priest. You would have been very good.
To speak the truth and to act it out. That's what it means to believe. God only knows what you'd be if you truly believed.
This is one that Christians will lap up. When he says God, I use the expression, God only knows how good this channel could be. If only I would, get a better microphone, or if I would just script everything that I say instead of doing it off the cuff. God knows how good this channel could really be.
I mean, if you think about it in some sense, that's the central idea in Christianity, is that if you were capable of believing, it would be a transfiguring event, a truly
well, if you're capable of believing in something which doesn't have sufficient evidence, again, it's just like the lucky rabbit's foot, or if you could invent some friend that you believe was going to make you a super person. But I don't agree with him that this is the central theme of Christianity. The central theme of Christianity is that we were all born bad with sin, and that we need Christ to save our souls so that we end up in heaven and don't go to hell. That's the central theme in Christianity.
Transfiguring event, and I know people experience that to one degree or another, but we have no idea what the limit of that is, and we have no idea what the possibility is within each person if they lived a life that was maximally courageous and maximally truthful, because maybe you're running at 60%.
You see, Jordan Peterson wants to have it all his own way. He wants to be an atheist, but at the same time, he wants to keep his millions of Christian fans on board. I think he's doing quite a skillful job there in not believing in God and at the same time preaching Christianity on the other.
Or 70% or 20%, and at cross purposes to yourself. God only knows what you'd be if you believed. And so, out as well, the difference between those mythological gods and Christ was that there's a representation there's a historical representation of his existence as well. Now you can debate whether or not that's genuine. you can debate about whether or not he actually lived and whether there's credible objective evidence for that. But
interesting. That's interesting because he's admitting that there is a debate going on about that, about whether the historical Jesus was really resurrected, etc. And he's not really coming down on one side or the other there.
It doesn't matter.
And he's saying that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether Jesus really was resurrected.
In some sense, because this, well, it does, but there's a sense in which it doesn't matter because there's still a historical story. And so what you have in the figure of Christ is an act.
I think he's realizing, again, I'm not too sure what he's doing here, whether he's that guy with the beard, whether he's a Christian. I suspect he is. And Jordan Peterson's very good at putting his foot in it, realizing he's said something outrageous. In other words, it doesn't matter for Christianity whether Jesus really was resurrected or not. And then he realizes what he's done, and he's very good then at switching it around and kind of saving it, as he will do here.
Actual person who actually lived, plus a myth, and in some sense Christ is the union of those two things.
So he is admitting that Christ is a myth. There was a historical Jesus, and there's the myth, the resurrected Jesus, and Christ is a union of these two things. So for me, that's Peterson denying essentially that Christianity is true.
The problem is I probably believe that, but I don't know. I'm amazed at my own belief, and I don't understand.
What is it that Jordan Peterson admitting that he probably believes? He didn't say he does believe. He probably believes that. The statement he made before that was that Christ is a union of two things: the myth of the resurrected Jesus and the real historical Jesus. That's what he's admitting to believing, not believing that the resurrection actually happened. This Christian, I mean, only a Christian could smile like that, is taking it the way that he wants to take it. It's quite clear.
Understand it, like, because I've seen.
Oh, wait a minute. Jordan Peterson's getting emotional. He's going to say something profound again.
Sometimes the objective world and the narrative world touch.
Okay, so he's got this kind of dichotomy there. We've got the objective world and we've got the narrative world. Now, I think that what he means by narrative world is the world that isn't real, the fictional world. Okay? All right.
You know, that's Jungian synchronicity. And I've seen that many times in my own life. And so in some sense, I believe it's undeniable. You know, we have a narrative sense of the world. For me, that's been the world of morality. That's the world that tells us how to act. It's real. Like, we treat it like it's real. It's not the objective world. But the narrative and the objective world touch. And the ultimate example of that, in principle, is supposed to be Christ. But I don't know what to... that seems to me oddly plausible. But I still don't know what to make of it. It's too... partly because it's too terrifying a reality to fully believe. I don't even know...
What is a too terrifying reality to fully believe? That Jesus really resurrected and that Christianity is true? Or that Christ is a union of these two things? The mythical Jesus who was resurrected and the historical Jesus. He's not really clear. He's not really clearing any of this up. But he said enough to convince me that he doesn't believe in the real resurrected Jesus. He believes that Jesus was a myth, and the symbolic narrative is more important because it informs people. It's a model on how to act. It gives us the morality.
What would happen to you if you fully believed it?
Okay, well, that's it, really. I'm going to stop it there. Let me know what you think. But it looks to me, I think from all that Jordan Peterson's an atheist, but he wants to have it both ways. He wants to keep his Christian fan base on board, and at the same time, he doesn't want to take on board all the irrational beliefs, all the unevidenced beliefs. Let me know what you think. Thanks for now. Be back again soon.